friends. Welcome to the Table of Champions. I am your moderator for today, Abiso Vili, and I'm just here joined by incredible winners of slams, incredible poets, incredible writers, social activists, and yeah, I'm just here to learn a lot from them. I think the way we're just going to run this is that we're just going to be chatting. I'll sometimes ask some questions, but I think we're all here. I think that's how you become a champion, to sit around the table of champions and learn from each other, right? So I think what we'll do to introduce these incredible champions is that I'll read a little bit about them, and then after I read their bio, they will each give us a poem, right? So it goes bio, poem. They don't know who's gonna be first, who's gonna be next, who's gonna be last. But I like it like that. We keep it exciting, we keep it hot, yeah? So I'm gonna read your bio, and if that sounds like you when I'm done, you'll give us a poem to introduce yourself. That makes sense, friends?
Okay.
You got it. I'm seeing some thumbs up, some all right. This poet is a multi-award winning poet, author, and the 2023 National Slam Champion of South Africa. In 2024, he represented the country at the World Poetry Slam, further solidifying his global presence. His work has been published in many anthologies, including the Soul Platje European Union Poetry Anthology. A versatile performer, he has collaborated with the KZN Philharmonic Orchestra, blending poetry and orchestral music, and has appeared in campaigns for brands like Heineken and KFC. Formerly trained in acting, he infuses his spoken word with theatrical precision. Offstage, he has facilitated workshops for thousands of students, founded Let the Poets Speak to amplify marginalized voices, and supported numerous humanitarian causes from food security campaigns to restoring dignity for the homeless. So everybody, give it up for Lethu Nkwanyana.
So do I just jump in the poem? Mr. Vili, do I just jump in with the poem?
Yes, please, just jump into the poem. Yeah.
Oh man, maybe it's because I can't even remember the poem or the skeleton of the poem, or rather, a skeleton does not remember. It does not recall the weight of flesh, the way muscle clung to bone like a lever, how blood hummed through its hollows, fingers curl around nothing, ribs cradle only dust, because there's a graveyard of deceased poems, a museum of words, a Colosseum-sized chasm where shadows roam in search for a home. Into the unknown is a field of tombstones only phantoms fathom. There are poems that have never made it to a page or a stage, have never experienced how it feels like to move an audience, or the thrill of being personified into a performance, a poem praying that its subject matter is about hands so that it can at least touch people's lives. It has never heard the sound of snaps filling the room like rain droplets kissing the skin of a calm lake. The ripple effect lingers in the air as beautiful energy. There are poems that are stuck as ideas, concepts cataloged in a quiet corner. Somewhere in our cranial cavity is a choir chanting a requiem whose music will never be heard, a library with books unread. A graveyard is dust trying to scream with a bursting throat. Burning ashes remain ashes, bouncing off the walls of my mind, in the passages of my mind, congested skull, moment of silence. Shh. So they ask me, Why are you always in suits when performing? For me, it is always a funeral. This is me mourning. In this anthology of buried poems in cemeteries, this poem right here is a miracle mimicking Jesus, for it is the only poem that rose again. Thank you. Let the poet speak.
Let them speak indeed. Oh, this is going to be wow. Thank you so much for that poem, Lethu. We're gonna ask questions. We're gonna dive a little bit deeper in a second, but we still have so many other champions to introduce. If this sounds like you, when I'm done reading the bio, you just gotta jump in with the poem. This next artist is a multidisciplinary writer and performer based in South Africa, born in Kenya, and of Nigerian heritage. Their work illuminates Africa's political history and centers the voices and stories of women. She is the 2024 Word and Sound Poetry Slam winner, the 2024 National Poetry Africa Slam Jam champion, and ranked 10th globally at the 2025 World Poetry Slam in Mexico, blending spoken word with visual art, animation, film, and design. They expand storytelling across multiple forms. A published writer and architectural practitioner, they hold a master's in architecture with distinction from the University of Johannesburg and currently lecture in that field. They have also presented at universities in South Africa, Canada, and the UK. With each performance, they bring a multidisciplinary lens to poetry, weaving history, politics, and imagination into work that challenges, inspires, and connects across borders.
We are not writers, we are merely translators. For human beings' souls speak a language that their mind cannot hear. So we have been sent to uncover secreted secrets that blossom in the wind. How many words are whispered through a mother's heavy sigh? How many soliloquies are sung in a man's broken eyes? We are sojourners in and out of reality, transmigrating through time. We are vessels who always seem to yearn for the why. Our existence, reality calls a crime. Thus we are made prisoners of passion, often tongue-tied to tragedy, forever writing lamentations of the hidden world that form your and our reality. We are the sorcerers who scavenge for ingredients that cannot be seen, smelting in the crucible where earth and heaven meet. We greet the soul and mind. We are infuriatingly ever in flux, entangled in eternal existences. We are ever burning in our bodies, our words, embers and ashes, our tongues, blades of the malignant, frequently cutting through every crevice of reality, peeling past the picturesque to reveal pluralities. We are intoxicated constantly, because we drink from invisible voices carried in the air. The words that were never said between lovers land upon our lips. Our tongues are the twisting of waves that cause the colliding of ships. We are in ourselves a storm, a tragedy, a melody, a catastrophe that has to be. A poet's call is to dine in the realm of the imaginary. Worlds beyond words manifest in our minds, or a poet's call to dance in the divine. We like to willingly dive in hell simply to come back to tell the tale. We like to collide with heaven in order to shake light to others off our broken beings. Oh, to be a poet, to be a dream draped in a person's skin, to be vulnerable enough to embody sin and salvage the strangely succulent of standing between man and grime. Oh, poet, you are constantly shaking in the prime of divine. Oh, griot, you are an angel or a demon, or you profane or part divinity, full of proclivities and tongue-tangling profanities. The poet is a pauper's pasture, the worst and best of humanity, something between a soul and a sacrament. A poet is sometimes a walking lament to his or her parents who wish they had become doctors. To be the poet, they said, was careless. And even though we perform heart surgeries every night and string souls back together, a stethoscope is still more respected than a mic. Oh, to be a poet is to be a mind reader, a soul steerer, a cavity clearer, a heart healer, a map reader. You may look on Google Maps to tell you where your body is and where you physically want to go, but we come to poets so they may tell us the location and direction of our souls. Oh, to be a poet. To be a talking drum, to be a musician's hum, to be a sculptor's thumb, to be smart and to be dumb. We are not writers. We are merely translators. Our language lives in the wind. I am a poet. You are a poet. Poetry is what makes us all kin. Thank you.
Come on. Right. This is gonna be trickier than I thought because now I must introduce the next part, but I'm already still soaking and percolating. Thank you, Olive Olusegun. Incredible. All right, this next bio, if it sounds like you, then get your poem ready. This next poet is an internationally recognized spoken word poet, educator, and activist celebrated for their powerful improvised poetry. A proud Black Sudanese Muslim woman, she uses her artistry to challenge narratives, ignite conversation, and foster deep connections. In 2025, she was awarded the Australia for UNHCR/SBS Le Murray Award for Refugee Recognition for blending artistic expression with refugee advocacy in powerful and innovative ways. She made history in 2021 by winning the Australian Poetry Slam and becoming the first spoken word poet invited to the World Slam Poetry Championship in Belgium. Huda, they have, oh no, I said the name. They have performed on global stages, including Singapore Writers Festival, Ubud Writers Festival, London Queens of Poetry, and Readers Festival, alongside major Australian festivals. She has also delivered 3 TEDx talks, founded a Brisbane-based open mic for BIPOC, BIPOC artists, and is the creator of She Is Huda. She uh, is is the creator of She Is. It is one word. A national exhibition empowering women of color through words, movement, and resistance. Huda embodies the power of art as activism. Everybody, please give it up for Huda, the goddess.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I am also completely in the poetry that I heard. So, and also considering that it's almost 2 o'clock in the morning, if I get a chance to do another poem, I'll improvise. But for right now, that's not happening because I'm trying to keep both my eyes open and my heart fully ready to receive. So, I'm gonna share a quick piece that I wrote. I think often you, as an artist, you get asked what you do it for. So I guess this is what I do it for. I do this for the brown-eyed Black girl with sparkling eyes, empty stomach, and a future that's been written by someone who doesn't even know her name. I do it for the Black girl that doesn't get to be the exception to the rule. I do it for the Black woman that carried the community in her heartbeat and fed us possibility through her love. I do it for the smile of the uncle that ran the corner store that never charged you the right price. I do it for the auntie that you treated like a second mother that held you when you were just pieces. I do it for the Black baby that just opened his eyes to the world and has already seen less humanity than most others who have less melanin than him. I do it for the Black mother who gave up her dream to help you make hers a reality. I do it for the father that has always wanted to protect us. I do it for the Black elder who is our unpaid teacher and a moving library. I do it for the future Black doctors, teachers, artists, elders, and for the happy Black girl with curls so big you thought it was drawn on. But I also do it for the Black boy with the body that won't need to be used as target practice, for the mother who won't have to cry her eyes into blindness after her using her young ones. I do it for us. That is a reminder that we spend our entire life looking for the magic when we have always been the magician, which is why they struggle with seeing us as real and human.
Okay, okay. Yeah, we've been seeing it on TikTok. I just don't have the nails to do it. Ah, gosh, I hope out there in the audience, friends, you feel seen because Huda does it for you. Okay, we're gonna come back to these poems. Me, I'm making notes, Baba. We're doing this thing. So, our final poet to join us in this table of champions. I think they gonna know who they are. So I'm gonna just say it from the get-go. We have King Yao, who is a Ghanaian poet, educator, and actor currently based in the United States. He is the 2025 World Poetry Slam champion who is touring internationally as a writer and a performer, a graduate of London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art. Yao has shared stages with renowned artists including Nikki Giovanni, Rudy Francisco, and Jessica Salgado. He has performed across 34 US states and internationally in Mexico, China, the UK, Nigeria, and of course, Ghana. On stage, Yao becomes his stories, channeling language through time and space to give audiences a cathartic experience. As world champion, he brings visibility to African voices in slam and continues to expand the legacy of poetry as a transformative art form. What's up, King Young?
Hey. Okay. My internet is being crazy, so I hope you can hear me. But anyway, this morning I woke up and my smile was the first person to say hello. I am beginning to understand what it means to be alive. Even my poetry has become more than just cemetery. These days, I'm trying to write about joy the same way I write about pain, so my future isn't just built on things that almost killed me. I've been trying to drown my sorrows in hope so I can finally ghost depression. You red flag, you toxic trait, you selfish lover. Hear me when I say, although you took my breath away, I did not fall for you. Did not death do us part for you or anything that tries to break me? I am breakable, but I know how to put myself back together. Call me creator, configurator. I transcend earth, birthed an alternate universe where destiny fulfills. Raised a fortified utopia, planted it in my respiratory system so my lungs never forget to inhale now and exhale tomorrow, knowing everything will be okay. I am okay. Most days, I am the sky. I star in my own movies, never the secondary character. I am not what you think I could be, not what your pastor says I should be. I am an imperfect relationship with a God that me off your grocery list. Don't play with me. I will pray for you. I, a poet or prophet, my poetry birthed in a manger somewhere in Africa, breastfed by genocide from Genesis through centuries on slave ships to strange fruit. So when I do poems, I am not only calling on God, I am extricating crucified bodies from the cross or the tree or whatever they decide to hang us on. My poetry, resurrection, I go way back like tradition of war cries and ain't that a home? You will leave me now. Understood? Do you know who I am? I'm a full moon, God's very own muse. My first name means Thursday. Maybe that's why on the fourth day, God summoned light from the heavens, called me son, named me Yao or Wei, if said backwards. Either way, I too, a literary reflection of Yahweh. I am son of the sun. So where do you get off thinking you can dim my shine?
Woo! And shine bright. Ah, all right. Okay. Okay. I wish there was like some time like in a panel that we had to just like sit and like let the poem sink in. Like we could just sit in a panel for a minute or so and not say anything. Um, we only got this hour, and I want to dive in deep, man. I've written some questions from these poems, and I suppose we're gonna jump into round one. I suppose as champions, you guys are used to these round formats. And I suppose like for me, round one, the question becomes why do we slam, right? So I'm gonna take it, the order we went via the poems. It was Lethu, Olive, Huda, and then Yao. Then now we're gonna go Yao, Huda, Olive, Lethu. And I'm going to ask you, so like just to think about why do you slam? Like what has brought you here? What landed you here? And then also just as an entry point, I'll maybe mention just like what I felt from the poem that you were giving, and then you'll counter me and say, no, that's not true. And of course, this is not a panel or a table, it's a circle. So if anybody else heard something and wants to ask something, like jump in. We're just chatting. We're just friends. Um, Brother Yao, King Yao. Like I see,
Yeah.
you're putting together God, and you're putting together grocery lists, you're putting together mangers and Africa, you're putting together these poems, these stories, these crucifixions, these hanging. There's a lot of this tension of balancing the holy with the personal, the being over there, but also being from Africa. I mean, like right now, I think you're in London, you're based in the States, you're from Ghana. Like for you, why do you slam? And then how do all of these interpersonal and divine reflections like collide and combine in your poetry? Is a big question. What you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, I was basically saying I do slam competitions mainly to sharpen my storytelling. Because you do go to these, and it's not just slam with like speech and debate competitions. You see, everybody is in their bag, everybody is talented, skilled. And so for me, it's more so how can I tell my story differently for it to make an impact? Because in my mind, every story has been told, right? But my story has not been told, and my story has not been told in the way that I want to tell it, because everybody's experience is different. And so for me, it's finding new ways to tell stories. I feel like that's what Slack. I feel like when people are judging slam, or people are like, I went to slam and I lost, and this was so personal to me. And I feel like we should be judging the storytelling and not the stories, which in my head, that's what slam is. Like, is judging your style and the way that you get the story across, and not necessarily, your topic or your story. So I slam to sharpen my storytelling.
Yeah, I think it's similar, like with word and sound in South Africa, for example, is like quite a large slam space. And I think it's very powerful. It's not about who wins the slam, but rather
Right.
I think it's about like how do you train yourself to become better? Because each month you need to
Yes.
deliver home, and then that helps you train the performance, it helps you train that writing muscle, right?
Right.
And also speaking of word and sound, Olive, 2024 was a large year for you, right? Like it was the word and sound slam win. It was the Poetry Africa Slam Jam win. But also like I think one of the things, and this is also came out in your poem as well, that like really makes you stand out, like this idea of prisoner of passion, these magic and spells that like you make in the mud, right? Again, connected to like this divinity that King Yao has, but also like it reminds me of like Insomi and African storytelling of crafting these divine humans from mud and earth. Like what like why do we slam, and what does that being a poet, a careless poet, like becoming the almost that renaissance man, renaissance woman of we are the doctors, we are the lawyers, we are the healers, like how does that all mix into the reason you slam?
So thank you for the question, and I've enjoyed the answers so far. I struggle with the question because I think there's like a distinction between why I write poetry and perform poetry generally as opposed to slamming. So I'll answer the slamming one because that's the question that's been asked. I'm not gonna lie, hey, like I stumbled into slam, like I fell, and then I was like, oh, okay, this is this is a world, this is a universe where people are, like intensely engaging with each other's work. And I think, there's something about it that I really enjoy about craftsmanship. I think with artistic practices, there's something about really being like a master craftsman in terms of the work that you do. And what's wonderful about writing and artistry is that everybody kind of has their own stories, they have their own approach, they have their own writing style. And the slam is not for you to change to mimic someone else's. The slam is for you to kind of like intimately be like, oh, wow, this is how this person does this. I've never seen this like this before. This is how someone tells the story. This is how someone, performs. And through that, it becomes kind of like a mirror for your own work, not to become like someone else, but to refine yourself. So I think the primary reason that I slam is so that I get to intimately engage with other people's work beyond just being like an audience member. And it also helps me to like reflect and sharpen myself as a performer, as a writer. I think because I've never had formal writing training, I literally like learned how to write through slamming. Like it forced me to literally, really pay attention to people's work and to appreciate people's work because of that space. And in South Africa, in our national slam championships, for the semifinals, you have to collaborate with someone. And the collaborations have been probably one of the most wonderful things in my life because when you have to write with someone, it's like a different thing completely. You have to create something. And it's one thing to create with yourself, but when you create with someone else, that has also been really incredible in terms of my growth and seeing and appreciating writers in my community. So I hope that answers the question, but yeah.
Yes, more than. Um, yeah, I think there is something there as well to be said about this collaboration of slam and also how it crafts and grows community, right? I know for me, and also yeah, the why we slam versus why we create. I think we're gonna jump that into in round two, which will be a collaborative round. But like in crafting that community, which also I think Huda, you do like exceptionally well in Australia, right? Not like just using slam, but also like having these open mics that you have to like open community. I know right now you're staying awake with us, but you've got an open mic that you're running tomorrow that you're also opening up to more artists. And I feel like I also like that reads in your poetry as well, right? Like why we do this, we don't just do this for ourselves. We do this for the person on the street corner, for the person having a cigarette, like on their balcony. Like, so what has like why do we slam? And like what has that community like been and meant for you in the slam structure?
Yeah, I think I definitely my journey with slam is peculiar in the sense of like it wasn't even about competition or like individual refinement. It was more about um if a room of strangers became a library and everyone was a book and we got the opportunity to have a page or a chapter of each other, that's what a slam is. And we did it in a such a, like peculiar, but like also a sense. I feel like urgency sometimes can drive vulnerability to the surface much quicker. And I guess the urgency of a slam makes you have to go, okay, what's important to me that 2 minutes it can sit on and really like be delivered to a stranger? Like, how do I give the nuance of universal truth in such a particular way that is about me? So I think for me, like being in a community where there isn't many Black artists here, and there is like a visibility element to it. I thought for me, I think slamming was about visibility of Black voices, and about their integral stories and their specific nuances. So like my first slam was like my friend dragging me along because she was going to a slam, and then she put my name down and was like, "You're gonna do this." And I was like, first of all, I don't even write poetry. Let's not do that. Okay. Like, so like my journey with poetry started accidentally. I think the love for language, or the thing that you love, is not like a prescribed map you draw. So I wasn't like, oh my God, first step, read a lot of books. Step two, fall in love with poetry. Step three, do slam. None of that happened. Like, none of that happened. So for me, I think, yeah, a slam for me is like an intense way to require vulnerability out of a stranger, and hope that we find the synergy in our universal truth to bond through that 2 minutes of you revealing parts of yourself. And yeah, like as you develop a sense with the art, you kind of go, okay, this is now a playground where I'm gonna pull and maybe write chapters that aren't already rehearsed and well created, and go, how can I break my sense of ego by writing and revealing and unpacking? So for me as an improvised poet, I'm humbled every time I'm on the stage, because it could be shit. Pardon my French, or it could be fab. We don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. You don't know. We gonna see what happens. So like, I think there is a lot of humanity required to do this, and then mastery. And I think I'm an auditory person. I grew up being illiterate, so like my fascination for language is about like, how can I hear you and feel you through your voice? So people's voices are quite important to me in the art. So like, who are you, and how much of your truth is tattooed on your tongue, that you spell it out in a connection? You know what I mean? So like, yeah, so for me it is, yeah, I love to know people and feel them through the vibration of their voices. So slam for me felt like a home in which everybody desired to leave an imprint on my skull, and I'm loving the library of people I carry with me that I've heard.
What do you mean? How much of your truth is tattooed on your tongue? Look at us, these libraries in this
Yes, that
room.
was the line. That was the line for me too. Just kidding.
Yo, mad, yo. Like, okay, okay. All right. Let it hit. Let it settle. Guys, we can breathe together, even for you, audience. Yeah, and I mean, like, then jumping into that tattooing the truth on that tongue, led to like there's so much also like grieving, but also surviving, like in your poetry, especially this poem that you shared, like each poem being a eulogy, but like also a eulogy to keep memory alive. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's such an interesting texture, And I'm sorry to snap for your pain, because like Islam makes us do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like what does that mean for you? Why do we slam when we are also out here just like letting our pain out onto these stages? Why slam?
Um, why Islam? I think I'll speak for myself personally, because I believe that the slam thing has this thing of adrenaline. Like, I don't take drugs, and I also don't use like a lot of alcohol or any form of drug, but it slamming gives me this sort of high, there's a lot of adrenaline in my body when I know that I'm slamming. And when I go backstage after slamming, like I just need to cool down. I'm like, what just happened? Like my body needs to come down. So I think that's when I slammed for the first time, that happened to me. And then I was like, I want to have this feeling again and again and again and again. So it's so difficult for me to stop slamming. I used to be in this poetry circle called the Nowadays Poetry Session. Like, we used to have a session in Durban, and this guy, his name is Ingo. He calls himself Ingo. He's a slam poet. So when I used to go to these sessions, he kind of introduced me to slam. He was like, you need to go slamming. I had no idea what slam was. All I knew was writing poetry and performing. And then he just put my name on the list of slammers, and then they called me to stage, and I'm like, we are competing here. What on earth is happening? So when I got to stage and the audience was just snapping and standing, it felt different from just a normal performance. So I definitely use slamming to sharpen my pen, definitely, and refine my skills and kind of push boundaries of the art. Because when you are good at what you are doing, a lot of people kind of consume the work that you deliver. So I discovered that it's so difficult for individuals to kind of consume my work if it's just um, average. And I felt like, or I still feel like I have this intricate message that I'm trying to get across to the world. But now, if I am not good enough in telling the story, then people might lose out on the message that I'm trying to get across. And they might also not find like healing. For every army, there's like a line of poets or a line of musicians that are always there. So if we are going to war, that's why I feel like this slam thing is so important, because they'll definitely bring out the best, you know, to just stand in line. Not saying that there's somebody called the best in the art, because in your own eyes, you are the best. Everyone is kind of the best, but slam just has this way of grouping this certain group of poets and say, okay, these guys, like these ones, uh, you know, are on top. But it's not really about that all the time. It's really about the message that you are trying to get across. So we need to bring fresh perspectives and originality to our performance, ensuring that poetry remains impactful and relevant. That is why I slam.
All right. All right. I mean, what is even the best, you know? Like we are
I
sitting
have
now
no
at a
idea.
table with the best. We are slamming. I mean, even itself, right? Like I asked why we slam without even giving a definition of slam, right? Because I don't think there's anything like slam poetry. There is a
Mm,
competition poetry, which is a slam, but slam poetry is the genre. You perform poetry, you write poetry, which is like, you know, something similar to like what Olive was saying, like why do I slam is a different question to like why do I write or why do I create?
mm-hmm.
Which I think is going to bring us to our second round. And Olive was talking about in South Africa, we have a collaborative round. So we must co-create a poem with one of your competitors to then slam with it on the stage. So we're going to get to that round. And that round, the theme is what makes a champion. But before we get to that, we need a poem. I've got a thing set up here where I've put your names in, so it's just gonna be randomized. So I don't know who's going to be leading us into our collaborative round. Let me get the app up and let us randomize. So the next poet who's giving us a poem is King Yao. You're up. Boom, 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 boom,
I feel like I saw this
boom.
coming. Okay, hopefully this internet. Yeah,
I know it
don't
sounds so
believe.
much better, and we can see your visual.
Perfect, perfect. Okay. Um, it's 1955, and a white woman yells in a courtroom, accuses 14-year-old Emmett Till of his own death. It's 2017, and Carolyn Bryant, now 82 years old, finally admits to lying about Emmett like we didn't already know. She tells a tale of men, fallen angels with hoods as halos, how they clipped a little black boy's wings as if she wasn't cheering behind their sins. To this day, she has lived Emmett's lifespan 6 times over, says, I'm sorry, and expects God to grant forgiveness. And maybe God forgives, but if she arrives in heaven and God is a black boy, would she still have an apology to give? What if she gets to heaven and is greeted by that one Sam Cooke song? What does it say? It's been too hard living. And this time, we are not afraid to die. This time, we know exactly what's up there beyond the sky, us singing rhythm and blues to the black boy. I wonder, would she still believe in God? Or does God become a threat? Does she clutch her purse, perhaps call the authorities for suspicious activity? Oh, Carolyn, mother to a long line of liars whose white tears have wiped out black blood to protect your bloodline. Some birthright you passed down to your daughters, and your daughters' daughters proclaim they're not their ancestors' crimes, but still reap in the benefits of your harvest. It's 2021, and false accusers, descendants of your white lie, still blame black boys for crimes we didn't commit, crimes fabricated by pressed white women. Says, I panicked, says, I'm sorry. Just last month, Emmett's memorial was riddled with bullets by 3 white boys. Did your sorry shield the shot? Can regret resurrect his rotten ribs? She says, I'm sorry, but does not mention a name. Carolyn, I hope your withering bones creak his name, Emmett, till his memory is ground into your marrow. It's 2025. And Carolyn Bryant's unserved arrest warrant has been found in a courtroom basement somewhere in Mississippi. But she still won't be arrested. They'll say she's too old to face what Emmett was too young to face. And ain't it just like America to be two-faced?
Oh. Oh. Our current World Poetry Slam champion, ladies and gentlemen. God damn. Okay. Ah, keep it together, obviously. You are a moderator. All right. So we are going to round 2, right? So round 2 is collaborative. I just want to learn some things, right? So I'm gonna ask all of y'all to just open your microphones, and then you're just gonna chat. Then I'll jump in when I say, okay, we gotta wrap up the chat, right? But I'll give a few like guiding ideas about this chat, right? Because round 2, we're trying to answer the question, what makes a champion, right? So, I mean, Olive, for you, 2024 was huge, right? 2 major South African slam titles. But like it wasn't like instant. It wasn't like this. There were many slam jams you lost before you got to that point to get those. So like, what does it mean? Like, what did you learn about resilience, about showing up, about shaping poems, not just for yourself, but like for competition, for community? Lethu, I mean, like when you were prepping for your War Poetry Slam championship, was it in Togo, I think? Uh, I was there with you. You know, we spent that time in the park listening to the poems. And I know how much thought and weight you carried into your performances. Maybe you can talk about like how does preparation change performance? Like what does preparation like look like? Huda, you carry Sudan onto stages across the world, right? Whilst also representing Australia as their champion. I know when we were there at 2022 in Belgium, there was something that you said about, because I was stressing because I walked in there, I was like, I must carry South Africa. And you were just like, I'm just happy to be here. My people, my community are like just like happy that I'm here. There's no thing about like just winning. So like, what does that like that freedom or the pressure of carrying whole nations into slam? Like, what does that mean, right? Uh, brother Yao, like you're in like a really interesting position, which I think like both Huda and Olive have as well. Lethu, we're just like the Zulu and Xhosa men in South Africa, but like Huda being Sudanese in Australia, Olive like being Nigerian born in Kenya, being in South Africa, also Yao like being like Ghanaian, like in the US. I also hear in your stories, like you've got like in your poems, you've got like a lot of like the African storytelling, but also like this like also American structure form that also like leaks in. And now being world champion, you're currently, you know, in London. How do you navigate this dichotomy of belonging? Where do you pull your stories from? And what does it mean to hold visibility now whilst also thinking about legacy? So I've dropped a lot. You don't need to answer what I've dropped directly towards you. Maybe there's something else that you're interested in, but like just open your microphones, chat. I'm gonna sit back and learn.
I'm personally still not unstressed by what King did with that poem. I'm
Oh,
still personally affected.
Yeah.
thank you, thank you.
You're very welcome.
How come and why? Why is the effect? What has happened?
To be honest, as a Black poet who lives in so-called Australia, there is a deprivation of like well saturated and like poetry that gets to a point. Like we are conservative even in language. Everything is subtly placed and subtly hidden between lines. Where I think the plethora of other Black poets around the world live on the political sphere. They hold hands with politics. They dance with the political conversation and narrative. Whether I think here, if you do that, you are the exception to this like yeah, I don't even say it to be offensive, like mediocrity of simplicity that dilutes the poem. So like it's really refreshing. Like in going to Durban, I'm just like, I'm about to bathe in the depth of Black artistry. Like that's so I'm just happy to be there. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's even, yeah, that would be an interesting like link about like what is Blackness and Africanness and
Right.
sharing this
It's
artistry.
yeah, it's everything. It's confusing, it's beautiful, it's stressful, it's political, like you said. Like it's, you know, people ask me like where, you know, where's your accent from? And I've it was hard for me to like answer that for a long time. But like now I'm starting to like be like, my accent is wherever I've been, because I've been to so many places, you know. And right now, if when I go to Ghana, people think I sound American, and I'm like, oh my god, you know. And I feel like it's the same being a poet or being a Ghanaian poet specifically who has lived in different places. My poetry is connected to my experience, and so whatever I experience, I write. So it's hard to just say, you know, I'm a this poet or I'm a that poet. But my writing of poetry started in the US with my experience with microaggression and racism. I'm like, I didn't know how to to what's the word I'm looking for? I didn't know how. What'd you say? Oh, I thought somebody said something. I didn't know. Yes. Navigate like what was happening. And so I would go back and write poems. Like I started writing poems like, to the white girl who said this to me at lunch 2 days ago. Like that's how I started writing. That's how I started writing, because I was like, I don't know how to, and I didn't know if it was appropriate to even respond in the moment, because I'm like, I'm on somebody's land, And so that's how I started writing. And it was freeing. The freedom that came from performing that, and also realizing that I wasn't the only one that was going through that. And so becoming aware and cognizant of the impact that I was spreading on people based on like my experience, that made me, keep going. And then I went to Ghana. I'm like hearing poets in Ghana, and I'm like, these are not, and so I had to write based on my experience in Ghana, like my past experiences, but also just my current experience, just being there. Because it's not the same. Like doing a poem that, you think is like, it's like the bomb in the US, and you come to Ghana and everybody's like, we don't know what you're talking about. And so my poems are definitely like, I have versions that are based on where I'm like where I've lived. And I think that's where I'm at right now. Although that has also prompted me to write universal poems, where I'm like, okay, I'm writing this poem, but I know that every part of the world has a similar issue. And so what kind of language do I use in order to like make sure that if I do this in Zimbabwe tomorrow, I know everybody's gonna be like, yep. So it's progress, it's growth,
Olive, like for you, what does that felt like? What has that been? That multinationalism, multiculturalism? Like it's not always easy, right? Like we were out here trying to figure out to get you to Mexico, like recently, and the world is out here still fighting the Nigerian passport, But
Charlie.
then we still carry these poems to like.
Why you bring up my business? The street.
I'm sorry. Okay, never mind. I didn't
I'm
say,
joking.
guys.
I'm joking. Yo, guys. No, man. They'll make you remember when you're at Tambo and they're like, turn back. I'm like, anyway.
Oh, man.
We're not gonna talk about it. But yo, man, there's a lot. Like, yo, there's too much. There's too much to talk about. But I think like there's so much that I resonate with because I was born in Kenya, but I live in South Africa, but I'm Nigerian. So like my Nigerian relatives will be like, you sound South African. The Nigerians will be like, you don't sound like us. South Africans will be like, why can't you speak? Yo, it's a lot, guys. Like it's a lot. But I think to try and holistically answer some of the things that have been brought up, I think that poetry has been so expansive for me in just both talking about my life and also shared experiences, which I think Huda and Kenya also talked about. Because when I was in high school, like, I wasn't a problematic student, but sometimes, like, when I'm sitting there and things are irrelevant, I'm like, man, why are we learning about this poem? This poem has nothing to do with where we are, what we're talking about. We're reading poems by white men that are in the 18 whatever's, like, what's going on, So when I started writing poetry, it was, I think, like also a moment of talking about like my experiences, talking about Black women's hair, talking about being a young woman in South Africa, and writing from that perspective and then performing it and being able to see the response of other people to be like, oh wow, we have never heard our stories told back to ourselves, because it's something different to be reading a story in isolation, but when it's
Sorry, one
performed.
second, Olive. I'm trying to hear you. Let's your mic is open. I think you switched off your video, not your mic. Sorry, Olive. Yes, please.
No, sorry, should I backtrack? I don't know where it cut off.
No, we can still hear you, right? So we were talking about stories and ice. It's one thing to think about that, but
Yes.
Forgive me, somebody kind of came here and I thought I switched off. Sorry, Olive, but I heard
No,
you.
no worries, no worries. I think so. I think in summary, it really was about sharing my own stories and those experiences that I had never seen in poetry before. And then in sharing that, like on a public stage, the opportunity for other Black women to be like, oh, wow, like no one has, like, we've never been able to talk about this fully like this and the complexities of it and the nuance of it. So it's both for myself figuring things out, and then bringing that to the public arena and realizing like, oh wow, there's a community in our shared joy, in our shared pain. And it's not just about what is written, but how it makes people feel. Because there is a healing in that. Um, and I think that um as someone who, because I grew up in South Africa, like I I have to learn my native language Yoruba from scratch through the lens of English, and it's incredibly difficult and it's very painful for me, the fact that I can't speak the language of like my grandmother, it's very painful. But through poetry, my friend and I were talking about it the other day, about like the nuance of African languages and how even as limiting as English is, when we try to unpack isiXhosa or Yoruba poetically, like you're trying to understand the words poetically, not like direct translation, but unpacking like our languages poetically to understand the depth of what one word in isiXhosa means is like an entire poem in English, or one sentence in Yoruba is like an entire thing. So poetry is also a way of me connecting back to my African heritage, even within the limitations of what colonialism has subjected me to. So in that way, it's very empowering. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
mm, mm. I mean,
Let's
like
go. Let's go.
we see that quite often, right? Like, I think being from many contexts and having many spaces to draw from, like, deepens even our engagement with this tongue that has, like, like colonized our mouths, right? Like, you can just say, oh, maybe, like, in Xhosa you say ndawa gilikiku, which means, I fell gilikiku, and there's no translation of that, but you can hear the sound of it. To like translate that, like in Isingesi in English, you'd have to write a whole paragraph like to get to that point. And like also led to like, it's interesting that weaving that you also do like in your poetry of Englishness, Zulu, and like what you pull. And maybe to round this off, because I'm also looking at time, like, yeah, like talk to us about that preparation, about that weaving. Talk to us, having heard what everybody's saying. What do you think makes a champion?
Definitely the preparation, as you're saying. I think this it also even begins with like the preparation of writing. There's a lot of things to prepare when you're going to deliver a piece. It often appears absurd, like the process looks kind of stupid, maybe to an untrained eye, it looks dumb. But why I find myself laughing at mundane things, maybe like a child playing, or how I linger on one word for hours, uh, you know. But beneath all of that, all these actions, like there's a magic, where you are able to transform something that is ordinary to something that is extraordinary, because a child's play is not merely play. When you look at it in a poetic way, it's like this unfiltered dance of imagination, like a mirror. Now I'm starting to speak like Paviso. A mirror, and also maybe like adults going to work, you can see like a march, like this routine, So if you are preparing, you start taking all these little things and then kind of elevate them, enhance them to make it something so grandeur, you know. Because absurd things are often kind of overlooked, and but finding infinity in a grain of sand, you know, that's amazing. And eternity in fleeting moments. Like I forgot this new word I learned a few weeks ago. And no, I don't think I'll remember it. But I just make sure that I have everything. I just tune my mind in, maybe take a walk and just look at nature, look at stuff, look at people, and then just take deep breaths. And then you just discover that this is not ordinary. It's not ordinary. Life is amazing. And what you can do with little things, come on, man. It's pure magic. What we do there on stage. In fact, I was laughing when I was hearing King Yao speak. There's a friend of mine who's in the US. I was also in the US recently. I was telling him about you. He's not even a poet. He's just a human being from Ghana. His
Human
name is
being.
Benedict. His name is Benedict. I was like, there's this thing called the World Slam Championship, and then this guy who's a champion, he's from Ghana, and I was like, yeah, and telling me how amazing Ghana is. So this thing right here that we do, I think it's amazing because he's in Iowa right now. Um, he was so fascinated by your work, and I love that, how, because this seems like it's an ordinary thing, but that guy is kind of like one of my best friends now, the way we are usually communicating because of these little things, you know. It's just sparked a oh, you're from Ghana, I know somebody from Ghana, he's an amazing poet, and then we started having conversations, which was
Right.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look at
That's
little
amazing.
things. To answer Klabiso, look at little things, think deeply about them, and magic will happen.
Anybody got any thoughts to anybody that's chatted before we go to round 3 and 4, which I'm going to put into one because time, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, from everything you've heard everybody saying in this incredible table, do you have any thoughts to respond before I bring up the next two poets that are going to perform?
I just want to add quickly to Lethu's point about like the small things. Yeah, I agree. So it's about like the things we don't think about, like the details, right? I feel like as a I'm gonna call it as a performance poet, usually when you're slamming, you're the only one on stage. And for me, I take it as an ensemble, as like a theatrical, project where there's like 14 people, and but you're supposed to do that by yourself. So how are you trying to tell this? People are telling our stories that we're telling with like 14 people and a whole set with costumes and everything, but we don't have any of that. We can't use props. We're so limited, and I think that it's important. Um, for me as a performer to do all the things I would do on set or on stage with a costume in performance poetry when it comes to slam, because I think all those little things, they're little, but they're like bigger than we think that they are. And so, yeah, paying attention to details. If you're not wearing a costume, what else can you do to like accentuate the character that you're portraying if you're doing, say, a persona poem, you know? And so it's like learning the different types of poetry, types of performance poetry, if it's an extended metaphor poem, um, personification poem, persona poem, how can you use acting or like the craft of performance in the poetry? Because it's not just like good writing, because the good writing is good, and good performance is good, but I think we need both to merge in order to be, you know, what is determined the champion?
I was gonna say to your question about the collaboration. I often feel like people want one person to represent the demographic, and I think often it happens to marginalized people. This notion of like bring and represent Sudan, and I think I've come to the conclusion that this attempt to represent an entire like monolithic community is you giving me the weight that you use to push me down that stops me from feeling lighter. There is no freedom in the pen that I can have when I have to carry the entire nation, my entire community on my shoulders. There is no liberation or freedom and sense of self when I am every Black person I have ever met. And unfortunately, I have to carry with me bruised, broken, unhealed, and dead people. And you expect me to have lightness? That's insanity. Like, you want me to represent a community? I will unapologetically be the sharpest knife on this table that cuts through the weight you have given me as a burden. That is how I carry a nation. It is not in replacing their mouths. It is not in an attempt to become the books that they're writing for themselves. It is not in stealing the mic from them. It is not in trying to overrepresent them in ways that might not speak to the individual position that they have. Every Black voice deserves to have its own lane and its own mic. And if I have to represent everybody, you are telling me that there can only be a few Black voices that deserve to be heard. And aren't we just reinforcing an idea that we're trying to abandon? I do not represent every Sudanese poet. I am not every Black artist, but I am a part of a canon event that will unleash, unravel, and undo all of the things you think Blackness is. So there must be more than me to represent all of us.
Um, damn, you heard that. Okay. I almost swore, but also there might be kids watching. We've got about 10 minutes left. So we're gonna see if we can wrap this in 10 minutes. Man, it's a thing I've been struggling with. This yeah. So I've got some funding from a university to explore this idea of Blackness and experimenting, right? Because I think that like what you're saying, Huda, like Black people don't get the chance to fail like white people do, because even when you fail, it's put forward as something to look at, like, oh, look how this Black person failed. You're always an example, a representation of all that Blackness. I mean, I've been looking at the past four winners of this World Poetry Slam Championship, right? So in 2022, it was South Africa, Blackness. In 2023, it was Colombia, also a person of color, Lady La Profeta. 2024, it was USA, also Black man. Now we are 2025, and we got King Yao in the building, right? But like at that same time, the canon hasn't shifted in terms of what is poetry when all these people of color are out here showcasing the world and representing it and be like, yo, here's like what poetry is right now, right? So I'm gonna combine the last round three and round four into like a what now? You know, like we have become these champions, we have done the things, right? So like what happens after you become a champion, not only for the audience watching, but also for ourselves. Like, what now? What does that actually mean? What does that like look like for my community? But before we go into that, that's the question. Before we go into that, we're gonna get two poems. So two people. I have already mixed up the first one. So the next person who's jumping on is going to be Olive. And then right after Olive, we're gonna go straight into Huda. Yeah. And then we're going to jump into round 3 and 4 merge to start wrapping up these conversations. That makes sense? You ready, Olive?
Yes, yes. I'm trying to decide between 2 poems, but I'm gonna do a short poem that's in response to the one that King Yao did, that I wrote a couple of months ago. When one white man weeps, whispers become briefs. When 2 white men have paper cuts, a nation's funding is shut. When 3 white men bleed, a president screams. When 4 white men die, a truth becomes a lie. When 51 million Black people starve to death, there is no alarm, for Blackness and poverty are always considered unremarkably arm in arm, but a white man's pain is considered contraband. The worst atrocity, the vilest damnation requires evacuation, emergency salvation. Never mind legislating stolen land, never mind turning chiefs into farmhands, never mind forced evacuations. These are for burned history books, not current legislation. Apartheid is over. You guys are now fine, Moss. Racism in reverse is not the answer, she said whilst pruning her picket fence jacarandas. Oh, how easily it is to call slaves employees. That, my dear, is their development strategy. But Black people owning their land, what a crazy philosophy. A country who has gold, diamonds, agriculture, and ore should definitely be begging money from a country with corn.
What else on you now?
I'm like trying to take it all in. I always feel the need to give a disclaimer. I have a disjointed relationship with writing, in the sense of I've only reclaimed the pen as a place I belong to live on instead of revisit. So I'm just gonna improvise for you as a way of like also reflecting through the conversation that we've just had. So I guess this is my answer to, like, for me, what makes it a champion with the pen. The artist I am is birthed out of stapling smiles from my nieces' faces onto mine to feel joy. It is built out of studying old scars, finding older curvatures to draw something beautiful. The artist I am is birthed out of moments I have jumped high enough to steal a star so that the glow in my eye would be rebirthed, to coat my skin with honey to cover all the ways they've told that it was dirt. The artist I am had a broken wrist and fingers that could not hold a pen, bloodstains from every writer before it. The writer I am has fallen in love with ghosts because they are my ancestors that needed a chair empty for them so they can visit us in conversation. The writer I am is a museum as an inside of my mouth, a heartbeat as the first drum that was ever birthed, hands that write history on them because our libraries are being burnt by their bare hands. The artist I am is my grandmother's vocal cords. It is a spear for a spinal cord. It is tattoos that spell out song lines of our generations. It is my sister's crooked smile, my mother's attempt to revive a nation that is dying. It is my auntie cleaning up somebody's son's bloodstains from a corner of a street. It is hope that we wear on our skin like a beauty mark. It is every time we sleep and have a conversation with God, knowing that there are ghosts inside of our pillowcases and monsters under our bed, and we carry daggers as protections, our skins, our armor. The artist I am is prayers and invitation, conversations with souls that now roam in the air around me. It is my ancestors holding me when all I am is hopes, dreams, thoughts, and a possibility of a tomorrow I might not even see to come. The artist I am is built out of broken promises the world gave me, an attempt to be the exception to the rule. Death notes and eulogies on back of diaries, stolen Black boys and Black girls who cannot dream big enough to be their own hero. It is mothers who are mothering entire communities without thank yous, fathers using their skin as bulletproof vests to catch everything aimed for them, street corners that kids don't play on, but still imagine a place in which mansions replace abandoned buildings. The artist I am is a love letter to all the people you have forgotten. and names you will never speak out loud, and love stories that won't be written, but I will write my own to take up the pages that were always meant to be for them.
Hey,
I
hey.
can't, guys. I can't with you guys. They're gonna have to forgive us. We're gonna go a little bit over time still. I promise we're gonna wrap up soon. Ah, okay, okay. What does it mean to be champion? What now? What is happening? I'm still stepping back. I'm listening. Like yeah, man. From starting at why do we slam, we are here now. Also, the people in the audience are trying to figure out how to get to where we are. And like, is it worth it? How did we get here? Is it worth it? I don't, I've got questions, and I hope they are scratching something inside you guys that you can respond with.
Me, I'm gonna need a minute, guys. I might need a couple of days, actually. Yo.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say. All I
Actually, I
have is
think,
bad effects. I don't have anything else to offer.
I mean, then
You
we
know,
must start with Huda, right? Then we'll go Lethu, because Huda, like our World Poetry Slam Championship representation was in 2022. Then Lethu, yours was in 2023, 2023, 2024 was when you,
2024.
yeah, you were at Togo. And then now King Yao and all of you guys were just now 4 or 5 months ago, you know? So like if you go need a minute, we got you, Olive. We'll give you a minute. Like, yeah, what now? What has happened since? Where are we going to? Huda, will start with you, and then I won't say anything in between. So once Huda's done, Lethu, you jump in, and then from Lethu, Olive or King Yao, y'all can decide who jumps in first.
The how to, great artists are birthed out of great observers and indulgers in the world that they exist in. To be a great artist, you just must exist, observe, take in, learn, reinvestigate. When people ask me where the next body of work is coming from, I'm like, when I live, I will create. They do not happen in a vacuum. If you want to slam, you must learn to marry the adrenaline, commit to vulnerability being the first thing that you speak, the truth being the one that follows, and accepting that applause can come in complete utter silence, that people indulge in you, receive you, and take you in different ways. A slam is unpredictable. It is never about the points, it is about the poetry. Commit to turning a room into um, the most intense and visceral 2 minutes you can. Allow people to be held by you, allow them to be challenged by you, allow them to explore, become the cinema of the poetry that you wrote. And that is how you create a profoundly well put together slam. You are the entire band, you are the entire movie, you are the entire musical. You must commit that you are all the instruments that other people need to create something great. And you had 2 minutes to do it. Marry the vulnerability of request of you. What now? When I went to Belgium, I had this conversation with you actually about creating chaos. I am committed to making everybody uncomfortable with the truth because that is what's necessary. Art does not need permission to exist. We are the historians of our communities. You know what I'm saying? Like we are hey, the historians of our communities. You must commit to being the best historian that writes down the truth, completely filters that out in the most unapologetic way. I am committed in where I live geographically to introducing spoken word and slam poetry in a way that has not been taken and digested. I love the art so much, and I'm clumsy with the pen and clumsy with my mid out. But the clumsiness creates and obscure things, and I think the most beautiful things are asymmetrical because they make you want to look at them for much longer because you're trying to find the detail in it. So, like, yeah, what now? The world. I think in the time that I'm coming to Durban, I am trying to see if I'm as good as everybody else in a way that I didn't think I even thought about, to be honest with you. So whether it's a challenge of imposter syndrome or the challenge of how white people told me how far I can get, because I think it's not even imposter syndrome. There's a destination you're allowed to get to and stop right there as a Black poet, and you cannot exceed. I've reached one of those, and now my job is to figure out, is the full stop one somebody gave you, or is it one that I placed on myself? Regardless, there must be freedom after that full stop. So to be a champion is to take all your fears with you and bring them to the journey. Because if you think that getting started means being less afraid, you are deeply mistaken. Commit to the fear and follow it through.
Please, you have spoken for all of us because what? What? I'm taking gems. I'm writing like what? What?
Let's
Ooh.
rough, man.
Yeah.
Rough to follow after that. Yeah, King Yao.
Yeah.
Wild.
There's oh my word. There's a rapper who once said, I think it's Lil Wayne. He said, I can defeat all of you guys effortlessly. Just imagine what would happen when I start applying pressure. When I listen to her speak, she's not even applying pressure, she's just speaking, you know, effortlessly and destroying everything. But yeah, I think a champion is somebody who does not just stand tall in Hall of Fames, but the one who kneels to lift other people up, you know. For me, that's a champion, you know. You need to be inspirational. There's a lot of things. When you're a champion, there's a huge well that you draw from, you know, like a well of experiences, a well of social issues that you draw from. So you just need to make sure that people drink from that, you know. So if you are a champion, oh my word, my network is tripping again. That's what they're saying. Okay. But you just need to be able to paint your, I'm sorry, because I'm just reading these things when it pops up. Yeah, but just, it's champions, preparation. You need to connect with your audience. Vocally, I know that I prepare a lot. Like I work on my voice and physical practice. You just find me sleeping on the floor and humming because champion puts on extra hours. You don't do what others do, you know, so that my performance can be tailor-made for that particular audience that I'm going to perform for, and rehearsing all the time and familiarize myself with these words and you know the structure of my poems. So if I were to give somebody maybe a tip on how to become like a champion, I think the best tool I can give you, not even a tool, but you just gotta be authentic because your voice is unique. You have strength, like your voice, not anybody else's voice, your voice. Yeah, that's all I just have.
I know we're out of time, but can I add like
Yeah,
just a little bit? So I'm
yeah, that's why I'm
experiencing this in
rushing.
live. Yeah, ne? I'm experiencing this in live time, but I think the most beautiful thing about having these stages and being champions is that even as you are performing and you are like inspiring us and showing us the, you know, the height of like how great you are, it also inspires us to even, you know, do what we need to do. And I'm talking about it clumsily, but there's a quote that really resonates with me. That's from the movie Coach Carter. So our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that others don't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So whenever I perform at like high schools and so on, and I hear the poetry that like these like young teenagers are producing, I'm like, yo, guys, like there's actually so much more out there. And I think when we perform and you become a champion, it's actually about inspiring other people to also live up to their own greatness. Because Huda, like, yo, bruh, we don't have that much improvised like spoken word in South Africa. So I'm just like I'm amazed. I'm dazed. I'm amazed. I'm so inspired. Thank you for sharing your work, because in your greatness, you're inspiring all of us as well to like also become greater. So, yo, I'm really, really blessed to be here.
And I'm going to add real quick. For me, a champion is in the making, which is to say we're always evolving as champions. We're always like moving through and working through, so it's like you can win a, a slam in your town, and then you can win the one in the city, and then you can win the one, like it's you keep going. And so for me, after this moment, being a champion is championing all the different things I've learned in slam and putting them in other aspects of my artistic life. And so as an actor, like working on a one-man show, and I don't write if it's not poetry. I can't write if it's not poetic. But through poetry world, so that we can inspire more people outside of like the slam world. Yeah, so that's where I'm um, sure.
All right. Sorry, Kenya. I think try to restart your connection as well, because we're losing you. I see you've already muted the mic, but the connection is still catching up with us. So just do a restart thing. Oh no, it's still going. It's still going. Oh.
but
All right.
I think
I'm gonna try speak over the connection. All right, because we are running out of time. Okay, I see your video, but also try to switch off the video and then maybe use just your microphone for this time if the network is lagging with the video.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. But thank you. We're gonna do one line each. All right. So
Okay.
if you want, yes, we can hear you, brother King Yao. So one line of anything you want anybody that's listening to this to walk away with. Maybe you've learned something. Maybe there's something you've always wanted to give. You've just got one line to do it. So I'm gonna just say your name, and then you're just gonna give us a line. And then Lethu, I'm gonna leave you for last. You'll give us a line, then go into the last poem. Then I'll say the goodbyes and say yeah, goodbye to everybody that joined us. So, King Yao, one line that you would want somebody that was you listening in on this to know.
People are buying what you believe in, so believe in yourself.
Okay, Olive.
Your greatness and your story will inspire other people to also share their stories and be great.
Huda.
You are every story that you have been looking for to write. So write about you.
Lethu. You're on mute. You're on mute. We can't hear your line.
Speak the truth even if it's uncomfortable. Your truth will set you free.
Lethu, give us a poem.
Now I'm jumping to a poem about lies. Actions speak louder than words, but now words have verbs. Verbs are doing words. Watch your thoughts, they become words, and those words might just be lies. As lies lie warmly underneath their tongues, tucked in their taste buds, as they decorate their everyday conversations with words like democracy, a clouded perception, deception of an eye patch that covered the vision of leaders as pirates looking for treasure. They bend whole day, digging holes that might consume them with spades in their palms, the blade piercing the ground. They still have broken backgrounds, those who know the truth spat on the ground, made mud to restore sight. Christ on crucifix, crucified, but we believe they lie instead. Ben's truth, tossed, only comes back as a boomerang. They've got hooks for hands. We are being caught in a sickle grip. Oval iris, horizontal blink. They're spineless, slithering into people's minds, hissing sounds of hypnosis in a trance from our fingers, licking the juice of the forbidden fruit, hoping that eyes will open, but we turn over a blind eye. The gullible, believing baseless lies with their judgment stuck on an illusion orchestrated by double-tongued serpents that are flickering sharp words that cut us spiritually, and blood slowly dripping from our black skins being inked as the pages of our blank brains are being occupied by nonsense, but we did not feel the pain. Maybe not yet. Adrenaline rushed. We did not fight or flight. We remained rigid and accepted spasmodically what we were being fed. Our true being is now recessive. We are regurgitating what we have engulfed. A lie is now dominant. Disgusting, disguised skeletons, odor of decaying flesh subsumed by glowing coats, beautiful speeches and quotes. Our emotional frown masked by a physical smile. Wolves are now sheep. Beware, they are amongst us. They are more equal than others. It reminds me of George Orwell's Animal Farm. When pigs looked like men and men were pigs, they were all the same. Maybe two legs were never good. Rulers are not straight to the point. They point in form of dictate. It's pointless how lies lie warmly beneath their tongues. It's tucked in their taste buds, and they decorate their everyday conversations with words like, it's gonna get better. Words like freedom, words like democracy. Lies. Yeah.
Hey. Snaps, snaps, yo. Okay, Lethu, where can the human beings find you on the social medias, and what are you doing? What can they look forward to?
Lethu Nkwanyana, that's my name. Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. Just search Lethu Nkwanyana. And I'm doing a lot of working with organizations, and I'm going to different schools. Like when I was calculating today, like I've been to over 32 high schools, you know, that's excluding the US, because I was in the US for half of the year this year. And I also, when I was there, that's also like plus 10,000 university students, like a lot of kids, like sophomores and freshmen. That's what you guys call them. So I've been working a lot with those guys in literature and writing and performance. Yeah. So if you search for Lethu Nkwanyana, that's what you'll see. And I've worked with probably over 30,000 people, students this year alone.
Yo, send that man an invoice, pay that man, get him into your universities, into your schools, yo. King Yao, where can people find you? What are you working on?
You can find me on Instagram, King Yao _ KINGYAW. I'm on Threads, and I'm also Facebook Yao African something. I'm currently in London. I'm doing two plays. So if you're in London, come see Julius Caesar, African storytelling themed. So it's wild, it's crazy, it's very poetic. And then the other show is like a spoken futurism live. Think of anime, but like poetry, but like also like live on stage. And yeah, so you can, if you want to hit me up, you can just hit me up on Instagram though, because that's where I'm at. But I also want to say I'm in love with like, I love Africa in general. I love Africanness. I love African poets. So this was like, this is everything to me. And then most importantly, I love South Africa. I've never been, but when I step foot there, I don't know if I'm coming back. I just love.
You have home here. You and Huda, you've got home here. When you get here, we ain't letting y'all go. Huda, where can we find you? What are you busy with?
Um, I mainly live on Instagram, so at Huda the Goddess, which is my pen name. Yeah, Instagram is kind of like my hub. I look much younger than I am. Me and social media don't have a good relationship. So Instagram is where I will live. I'm not trying to have 300 homes for people trying to find me at. But yeah, right now I'm working on a 7-part story series where I'm trying to just recreate spoken word in so-called Australia in a format that is like has an aesthetic that really appeals the younger reader. So a lot of about dandyism and bringing Afrocentric fashion and artistry into creating like almost like turning it into an album essentially. And then I'm also releasing a book. So by June next year, my book and my 7-part series will be out at the same time. So yeah, so right now I'm just like in screening and editing processes. To all the people that have been writing their entire poetry career, I don't know how the hell y'all do this. This is the most mind-numbing, painful, ADHD triggering thing I've ever done in my life. I'm I am an improvised poet who lives on stage and creates a set and goes home and forgets everything I've said. So this is, yeah, I'm gonna get
Yay!
through it. I'm gonna
Yay!
get
Don't worry, we
through it.
got you. We got you. You're about to land down in like 2 or 3 days. We'll hold you. We'll protect you. Like you can just throw away your Australian passport. We'll give you a South African one. Actually, it's not that easy. But Olive, you know it's not that easy. Where can we find you? What are you busy with?
You can find me on Instagram. I'm also mainly on Instagram. Please don't Facebook me because I don't know how Facebook works. It's Olives _ POETREE, Olives Poetry. What am I currently doing? So I'm doing a show later in October at the State Theatre, South African State Theatre. So if you're in Pretoria, come through. And then what's really exciting is that last year I made one of my poems into like a stop animation. So it's like 300 like still images that turned into like a moving animation with the poetry in the back, and that's going to be showcased at the film festival in Durban as part of Poetry Africa. Yeah, so that's really exciting. And I just finished doing poetry for an architectural conference. So I'm trying to see how I can bring people that are outside of poetry into looking at the world more empathetically in their professions. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah.
Hey, incredible. The poets are doing the work, friends. I am Labiso Vili. Just Google me, baby. Google me, baby. If you're around, if you can't make it to Durban and you're around Gauteng, you can find my planetarium animation that I worked on with like incredible artists, Medusa Sehote, Belita Andre, and Nomashenge Dlamini. We created a story about the origin of the universe, and it's going to be showing at the planetarium during this festival. So if you're around, come check it out. If you want some discounted tickets, holla at me. But also, we got to give it up to, of course, Poetry Africa for holding and hosting this incredible space. Give it up to the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Give it up to the Center of Creative Arts. Give it up to the National Lotteries Commission. Give it up to the KwaZulu-Natal Sports and Arts and Culture Department. Give it up to the Institute of Francais. Give it up to the University of Johannesburg and the Embassy of Ukraine for making this all possible. We will be receiving emails that say, "Yo, thank you," and then there's a thing that like allows us to live. You all know what I'm talking about. And then to end the poem, I want to say thank you to the poets and thank you to everybody that was in the audience. I wrote down some notes and I hope it sounds like a poem. So this is my goodbye and my gift back to this incredible conversation. Thank you for joining us and good night.